This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to Hot Takes, the show where I get to interact with your comments that you leave underneath the videos all week. It's always a fun time to be able to check these things out and kind of discuss some of the topics that I've brought up in the week. And, you know, despite it being the off season, I still think that there's a lot to talk about with this Browns team. When you really dig into the nitty gritty of it, there's a lot interesting here. It's only May. I can't wait till we get to camp, till we start to see some pads, all those things. But let's get into the video. In the first video, we're going to be looking at the comments from our Deshaun Watson looks to be 100% on track. Martin says, I'm more anxious to see if the new OC is a good fit for the entire offense, not only just the quarterback position, but for all 11 guys on the field at one time. This is an excellent point, and maybe this is something I should make more of an effort to do some videos to focus on, because naturally Deshaun Watson, because of his contract, who they traded for, his presence, his level of fame that he has, his level of infamy, he's going to take up a lot of the oxygen in any conversation about the offense, especially any conversation centered around the offensive coordinator. And because he takes up so much oxygen in those conversations, you don't really get the chance to hear a lot of talk about how Ken Dorsey is going to affect the wide receivers, how the changes to the run game coordinating position and the offensive line coach could change how the offensive line plays, how the run game is structured. I agree with you, Martin. There's a lot more to talk about with this new offensive coordinator outside of Ken Dorsey, and maybe that's somewhere where I can focus on and make a video and kind of discuss that further in detail about where the changes are going to be for this team and kind of focus on that conversation outside the quarterback position. It's a good point. Next thing comes from Harry, who says, all the PTSD Browns fans can leave right now. It's a new day for the Cleveland Browns organization where winning playoff games and championships are the norm. This will be the breakout year for Deshaun Watson, as well as other players that have been speculated on. We'll start with delusional Dallas and go on from there with a healthy D. Watt. If the Browns don't have at least 7 wins before the bye week, I'll be shocked. 11-6, 12-5 this season. Okay, this is a good time to talk about how just because it's positive don't mean it's positive. One, I will say this. I get the frustration some fans have with the quote unquote PTSD Browns fans. I don't think you should lump so many Browns fans in with that group. Like, I think there are Browns fans who are just nervous. They're anxious because this is the first time the team has had this level of expectation and this level of promise. And that's naturally going to bring a lot of people who are nervous. I don't think the answer is to kick those people out the fandom. I think the answer is just to let those people be nervous because their nerves are valid, right? Like, I like this Browns team. I'm encouraged by this Browns team, but I can see where some people would be a little bit nervous, or where people would have the same feelings where they think this Browns team is going to be really good, but their reaction is not excitement. It's nerves because of whatever is going on with them. Look, the point of being a Browns fan isn't how hard you could root for them or how hard you could root against them. I think if you're a Browns fan, all I ask is that you be willing to listen to reason, right? I don't care if you have a more pessimistic point of view. I don't care if you have a more optimistic point of view, but always be able to listen to reason, right? If the Browns are down 7 in the first quarter, I hate when I hear people say the game's over, because that's not reasonable. It's not reasonable to think the game's over. The same way I hate to see fans get mad at other fans when fans are upset because the team is losing by 28 points in the fourth quarter with like 2 minutes left, and people are like, well, they can still win this game. You're just being negative. No, you're being insane at that point. Like, the result is the result. And even if you do get the result, you have to acknowledge the reality. Like, you were down 28 points. We just got to be reasonable. You know, you don't have to be Mr. Positive when it comes to the Browns. You don't have to be Mr. Negative, but just be willing to listen to reason. And like, I appreciate, Harry, the comment that you left here. I will say this though. The Browns are not at the point where winning championships are the norm. We hope to get to that point. Kansas City, the only team that can say that. So like, you know, again, let's just find reason. That's it, man. Like, you know, I just want to, let's be reasonable. Let's be reasonable. Because also, look at what you do when you are being unreasonable in the positive direction, right? When you're being unreasonable in the negative direction, everybody dog piles on that because it's easy. But when you're being unreasonable in the positive direction and you're saying like the Browns got to win 7 games in their first, 10 weeks of the season? Not really giving them a lot of room for grace, you know, but we just again, man, we got a lot to look forward to as Browns fans, but let's be reasonable. Let's really be reasonable. All right. Deshaun Watson is back to throwing at practice. Chamrod says, for me, success for Deshaun Watson is twofold. Win the North, make the AFC title game, and stats be damn. I don't care if he throws for 5,000 yards, just win, baby. I really could care less if he wins the AFC North. Like, it would be nice to get a home playoff game, but you do want to see the playoff success, right? If you think winning in the North is necessary in order to get to the AFC Championship game, then I guess that's how you get there, but I don't think it's necessary. Like, I have never thought about getting a division championship t-shirt. Like, I just could care less. I honestly wish there were open seating in the NFL. Like, maybe every division winner shouldn't be guaranteed a home playoff game. You know, like, I get giving every division winner a playoff game, but sometimes, you know, you be having like an 8-9 team win a division and they get a home playoff game over a team that's like 11-5. But all that to the side, yeah, I'm not as fixated on winning the division. It's just going to be tough. We'll see what happens. If it goes our way, it goes our way. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not going to really dictate success for that. But I do think that, the Browns, like, they want to get to an AFC title game, and they want to feel like they are on the cusp of winning a championship in this next couple of years, if not winning a championship. It really has to be that. Now, there are like different qualifiers. Like, what if you go like double overtime with Kansas City and you lose, but it's in the second round and it's not the conference championship game, but you feel like you were the only team to really threaten Kansas City? Like, there's all kind of different caveats that can get in the middle of this, but I think the through line with all of this is you want to feel like at the very least the Browns were serious contenders to win the Super Bowl. If you don't feel that way at the end of the season, you're not going to feel like it was a success, no matter how it ends. You can, like, if you get to the AFC Conference Championship game, right, and you lose by like 60 points, we're not going to feel like we were championship caliber team. And let's say like you beat a couple fraud teams to get, like, there's a lot of ways it can shake out. And let me just get to my main point here. There's a lot of ways this season can shake out. But what does matter is that we have a feeling as Browns fans and people who watch the Browns season that, man, they had an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. They are a serious Super Bowl contender. That's what you want to feel about this team at the end of it. And you want to have the case being either you are a team that won a Super Bowl this offseason or a team that could win the Super Bowl for next season. But you want to be in that category, right? You want to be in the same conversations that Baltimore and Kansas City are in right now. Paris says, for me, this trade started becoming a win when I watched DW4 bang it out in Baltimore. If he comes out against the best opponents and shoots it out, does not necessarily have to be a win. You can see him changing the tides of that game. That is what we picked him for. We can't beat a lot of teams and defenses right now. We saw what happened last year, but when we were against the best, I need him to come in clutch. I'm going to do what he's already begun to do. His stats don't have to be the best, but we do have to have a solid win, make the playoffs. Winning the AFC North would say a lot, but we do absolutely have to win that. Not really, but come playoff time, we need to see him come alive like Pat does. They don't necessarily need a huge win. Okay. Yeah, I think you just want to feel like the quarterback isn't holding you back. I think that's the best way we could put it. You want to feel like in the fourth quarter, the quarterback is able to put games away. You want to feel like if you are playing Baltimore, you have enough firepower at the quarterback position to be able to battle back against Lamar Jackson. You want to feel like if you go up against Pat Mahomes, you have enough firepower to battle back. Nobody's going to ask Deshaun Watson to be better than Pat Mahomes or even Lamar Jackson, to a point, even Joe Burrow. But they are going to ask him to stand toe to toe. Right. And I think that's going to be what's important. Can you close games and do those things that are necessary? And if he does that consistently, then I don't think people are going to really care much about what the Browns gave up in a trade for Deshaun Watson in the long run. Ken says Jed was a big reason why Conklin got hurt. We back on this? This was debunked. Okay, so we back on this disinformation, and appreciate you for being a member, but we can't be spreading lies in the comment section. Jed Wills was actually doing what he's supposed to do. He got beat inside, but he rolled his leverage in and then rolled it through the pocket, which is what you're coached to do as an offensive tackle. And it just so happened that his guy ran into Jack Conklin. That just happens all the time on the offensive line. Sometimes it leads to an injury, sometimes it doesn't, but we got to stop. Like, you don't have to lie to criticize Jed Wills. Jed Wills is a solid player. He's inconsistent though. That's the problem with Jed. We don't have to lie and add shit and say that he's injuring his own teammates and all of this. Like, we don't got to get goofy to criticize Jed Wills. And when you do that, it makes any criticism of Jed Wills seem petty, because it is petty. It is petty. This is not why Jack Conklin got hurt. Jack Conklin got hurt because the wrong guy ran into the wrong leg. Like, it is what it is. Those kind of collisions happen on the line of scrimmage. Those kind of plays happen, and it's really nobody's fault. So, like, stop this. Like, really stop this. This is just a lie. We debunked this during the season. The problems of the 2024 Browns will have. Ron says, I think playing with Coop is going to have a big effect on Juedy. Also, him playing with a real quarterback should help too. He did have a couple of trash quarterbacks in Denver. Russ, in twilight of his career, being on a team where you feel like he should have a positive effect too. I think there's a good chance he has his best year yet. Yeah, I think there's a good chance that he could have his best year. But, you know, Jerry Judy is still himself. And what I mean by that is he might be the best version of Jerry Judy we've seen in the NFL, but the issues that have popped up in Denver aren't going to completely go away because he's in a new situation. Even if he's the best version of Jerry Judy, there are going to be some things that do carry over that aren't going to be too flattering from Denver. That's not to say that he can't get 1,000 yards. It's not to say that he can't be a very productive part of this team. Obviously, those things are true when you just look at the production that he had in Denver, despite some of the circumstances. But when you look at some of the negatives about Jerry Judy, right, the inconsistent catching of the football, the inability to catch through contact at times, those things are still going to pop their head because he's ultimately still Jerry Judy. And it's going to take more than one offseason to fix those kind of problems. But he does have the potential to kind of course correct on those things later down the line. And if he is the best version of himself, he will be a huge asset to this team. So, I'm just throwing something out there to just be a little bit more cautious, because I do think some people are expecting him to become a completely different person. Not saying that's you who put the comment down specifically, but some people are doing that. Miles and JOK combo will be unstoppable. Thomas says, I think Tillman will have a better year as well. Thrash will end up being very productive to get players in this new look offense. Just a gut feeling. I just can't wait any longer. I'm craving Browns football. I would really not expect much out of Tillman or Thrash, just because I don't think they're going to be put in position to get the ball a lot. When you look at this Browns offense, right, and let's do the pecking order of the Browns offense. Number 1 is David Njoku. Number 2, real close to him, Amari Cooper. Then number 3, probably Jerry Judy. Then number 4, you're probably going to want to go to Elijah Moore. After Elijah Moore, you're going to want to hit Jordan Akins, just so you can take advantage of the attention that David Njoku gets. You're going to want to hit some slip screens with Nick Chubb. That's going to be number 6 on your priority list. I think number 7 on your priority list is going to be third down packages where you're running design routes with like Jerome Ford. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options that you would go to before your number 2 or number 3 your number 4, number 5 wide receiver. There's just not a lot of room for those guys to be that productive in this offense. So I would temper my expectations for these guys this year. Maybe next year might be the year, right, when there's some openings up on this offense. But right now, or if there's injuries, and hopefully there's not, then there might be an opportunity. But as the team looks right now, I just don't think there's going to be a ton of opportunity for those two dudes. Gagan says, the only thing you have to worry about with JOK, aside from the health scares, is he has missed a fairly high missed tackle rate amongst linebackers. Myles Garrett is basically the perfect edge rusher, so you have nothing to worry about there. His aggressiveness has been taken advantage of several times in key red zone moments, such as the zone read versus Denver, tunnel screen versus the Texans, but that's on Schwartz, not Myles. I mean, like, it's probably on Myles, right? I bet Myles isn't supposed to be attacking downfield, but he thought he saw something. And you just live with the kind of shit with Myles where he's over-aggressive at times because he's Myles Garrett and he can give you the Indiana game. And with JOK, yeah, the missed tackles are something that I don't really think is a big deal with him, because you're not asking him to be the only guy rallying to the football. And a lot of times you just want JOK to slow somebody down to get there, but it would be nice if he finished those tackles a little bit more often. And like, let's be real, he was one of the best tackle for loss linebackers in the NFL, so clearly it's not that big of a problem for him. He's just kind of in position to make a lot of crazy tackles that most people aren't ever in position to make, so I think that kind of feeds into the missed tackle thing. But even that is better than most linebackers because he's able to lay a hand on somebody that's going to lead to a tackle. I don't think the missed tackles are that big of a deal for JOK. I think it's a little bit overblown. But that's my thoughts. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night.